Hey, welcome back to the Breaches Room. Another video off the tailgate today. We're going to talk about body armor and how I have my body armor set up for SWAT operations. Stick around to find out more. All right, so my previous video, I talked about how I set up my duty belt for SWAT use. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out on my channel, provide you some important context and how that ties into the body armor that I wear in SWAT missions. Again, this is a data point for how I have things set up now, and I'm usually reiterating on small things here and there just to see if they work and are more efficient for me. How I have my stuff set up may not work for you, or I might learn something later on that works even better for the roles that I have to fill on my team. So to give you guys some background context, I've been a full-time SWAT guy for over 3 years now, and we cover a very large area, and we usually average 180, 200 missions a year. And each week we have about 2 to 3 training days. So in my gear a fair bit. So without further ado, we'll talk about the body armor. So the first piece of kit that we're going to talk about is going to be this Spiritus Systems LV119 here on the right. And I wore this for the first 2 years or so when I was on the team. Reason why I did wear it was the guy that I replaced was in a size extra large. So I was given his plate carrier and his heavy entry kit that was an extra large, and it didn't fit me. So I was able to kind of size down that extra large heavy kit to kind of make it fit better for me. I was kind of like an armored turtle, but the plate carrier that I was given was still way too big. So I was allowed to wear a personal kit, which I wear size medium. And I already had this as like an active shooter response plate carrier for when I was on patrol. So a lot of the pouches that I did use on the LV119, when I did get the tier Pico that was my size, I just moved it over to the tier Pico. So I'll talk about a majority of those pouches, the stuff that I ran on this LV119. One thing I really liked about this was all these internal channels, like through the buckles and through the plate bags and the shoulder straps. You can route combo cable, push to talk cables. So you could have a really neat and tight setup and not have to worry about things getting snagged. They are discontinuing this. I think it is a good plate carrier. I know some people don't like it because it's a little too minimalist or doesn't have a whole lot of pad, but it's an a la carte setup where you buy each piece individually. So I bought the front and rear bags from Spiritus, and I went with a different company's Cummerbund because I needed to have soft armor in the Cummerbund, and I didn't want to have to piece together their soft armor bags plus a bungee Cummerbund together. I just wanted something that was kind of like one piece. So the Spiritus does use bungee in the back, but the tier Pico stuff uses Velcro on the back. So just an important thing to note when you are putting kit together, how that Cummerbund does attach, whatever Cummerbund you do choose, because that could be an annoyance if you had to deal with it. So once I did get body armor that was sized correctly for me, just like all the other body armor that we're using on the team, this is going to be the tier Pico. The heavy entry kit that we're issued is the tier Epic. So if you're wondering why we have 2 different pieces of body armor, the reason is that tier Epic offers significantly more soft armor protection than this plate carrier does, because that Epic has groin protector, neck protector, and then the deltoid arm protectors on top of additional soft armor ballistic coverage for the torso as well. So we'll switch between the two depending upon the nature of mission that we're working. So if we're wearing this tier Pico here, it's because we're most likely going to be working out of our vehicles, working in large open spaces like the desert, or we're assisting with venue security at like baseball games or at NASCAR events, or if we're at properties that have restricted access to spaces, like if they're hoarder properties or if there are travel trailers located on the property where it's easier to squeeze through those spaces wearing this versus the heavy kit. So that's kind of the difference between the two. when we wear them. Sometimes we'll wear that heavy kit if it's a barricade, or usually if it's a pre-planned mission, pre-planned high-risk search warrant. We'll wear that, especially since we're most likely going to be standing around for a decent amount of time, not moving a whole lot, going to have very low mileage put on those. So that's kind of why we switch between back and forth. So modularity is kind of the name of the game with how I have these set up. So some of these pouches I do put on the heavy kit there. So we will start diving in and how I have this tier Pico set up for SWAT use. All right, so first we're going to talk about the rear plate bag of my plate carrier here and how I have that set up to kind of fit the roles that I am on my team. So what I have attached to this rear plate bag is going to be the Spiritus Systems Assaulter's back panel. So one thing to note is Spiritus Systems, Faro, and I believe Cry are all different zipper patterns, and they're different from Tier. Tier uses their own zipper pattern for their rear back panels. So I'm using this because I already had it from the LV119 when I was using that. So I didn't want to then buy into Tier's back panels because that's something that were not provided from the unit. So how I attach this to my rear plate bag is going to be with a zipper adapter, and it's made by 8492 Nylon Works. And what that does, it just mollies into the outermost columns of your rear plate bag. I do believe they make zipper adapters for Faro and for Cry as well. So if you wanted to do what I did and use a different brand's plate carrier, but then use a different back panel, you can do so by buying the associated zipper adapter. So that zips on the rear plate bag there. With the Spiritus one panel, I'm able to put these tabs through the molly there to secure it additionally. So I usually don't wear the rear back panel if we're doing vehicle operations or operations in open spaces like the desert, because this is mostly a breaching panel for me. So I don't need it in those circumstances. So I'll remove it so that way I can sit in a vehicle a little bit better for longer periods of time, or I'm not sitting on the contents that are inside of this. And it's also just less weight that I have to deal with. So when I'm not using this, I'll just take that sheriff placard off and put it on the back there, so that way people know that I am law enforcement if they see me from the back. So I will remove this so that way we can talk about this a little bit easier. So going in the depth of this Spiritus Systems Assaulters panel, this is mostly geared for breaching for me specifically, and explosive breaching. So it's a relatively modular pack. You can kind of put whatever you want on this. They do build in some modularity to it. So the main compartment that's closest towards the plate bag is a large enough compartment where you could fit a 3-liter hydration bladder if you need to have a water source on you. I mostly use it for manual breaching tools. Right now in here I have a shield spike hammer spike, and this is just a manual tool to break glass. So something you can use one-handed, it's relatively lightweight. Alternatively, I also will put bolt cutters in here if there's a need to use bolt cutters. We don't really use folding breaching tools a whole lot, so we just use not expandable breaching tools. So if you had a longer pair of bolt cutters, say 24 or a 30 or 36 inch bolt cutters, you can expand the bottom of this pack by undoing a snap. And it does get a little bit longer, so that way you can carry some slightly longer tools. And when you're not using it, you can just tuck it back in and snap it closed. So that's that main compartment that's on the back part of the Assaulter's panel there. Right before that, I got the molly panel, so I could put a large molly pouch here on the back. They do make some other panels for that as well, but I didn't necessarily know at the time what I was going to put up here. And then once I became an explosive breacher, I knew I wanted a larger pouch here on the back as well. So built into that is going to be 2 channels here, and then you can see a little bit more easily in right here. I have another explosive charge in a PVC tube to protect it there. They did design this, I believe, for super slap charges to give you an idea of the size and the overall length of that channel there. So you could fit 2 super slap charges there. You could potentially fit a modular breaching charge as well, but it would be easier to put that modular breaching charge in that main pouch if that was something that you were carrying. So this is just a generic paraclete pouch that I got from the unit storage room, something I had to spend my money on that just mollies on there. So inside of here, I have space for additional explosive breaching charges. I'm not going to go into detail what they are. I have roll-ups in there. So you could definitely fit a 96-inch roll-up for you explosive breachers to give you an idea of the width and the size of this pouch. So that's what I keep in there. By no means is it full. I could probably fit a few more in there if I needed to. So this bottom pouch right here is a sewn-in pouch that does come with the assault panel, and there's 2 compartments in there. So in the small one, I keep flat things, and specifically I have I have a fat bladder in here. So if I'm making a gun port or a impulse charge, I can build that on scene. On the larger pocket here, which is kind of covered from the paraclete pouch, I do have a endoscope camera. And here's the actual flexible camera piece for this. So this is super helpful because I can attach it to a painter's pole, and we can use it to check attic spaces, and we can also use it to check under the doors. If you guys go check out my video on Ready or Not, I talk about this camera and kind of how it compares to the camera in the game there. So this is just a fill-in for some of the camera systems that we have in our armored vehicles that are a little bit more sophisticated, but this at least gives me a capability to have all the time with me with this back panel. So it was, I think, 40 or 50 bucks on Amazon. Is a pretty cheap endoscope camera. So, all right. So talking about the rear plate bag here on this tier Pico. So this is what it looks like when I'm not wearing this Spiritus panel on there, and I'll have my sheriff placard attached to the back there. So mounted on the bottom part of the plate bag, this is gonna be a knockoff of the Ferro Roll 1 medical pouch. So I bought this earlier this year. I wanted to try it because I originally had a HSGI bleeder pouch on my duty belt. That was like the 5 o'clock-ish right behind my duty pistol. So really nice because it helps with a little bit of lumbar support while you're sitting in a vehicle. And then it just kind of keeps the overall profile of the plate carrier a little bit slimmed down. So granted, I do not have a tourniquet in here because I have the tourniquet mounted on my holster. I also have a tourniquet on the front of this. So talking about cummerbunds, so this is not the original cummerbund that came with the tier Pico, and I actually have that cummerbund on the Spiritus systems here. So I did put a aftermarket cummerbund on this. So tier does offer 3 types of cummerbunds. They have a mesh molly cummerbund, and then they have 2 types of soft armor cummerbunds. Both are QD type cummerbunds. This is the cummerbund that we were issued with it, and it's going to be the flatfish cummerbund that comes with these buckles. They're like clasps. So they're not like tubes where you slide them like up and down. They just click together. So it's a nice, relatively flat cummerbund. But one thing I didn't like about it was that there's a ballistic window between the armor coverage of the soft armor and where my plate bag is. So I definitely dislike that. And a fix for that would be to move your buckle end that attaches to the front plate bag closer towards the front of the plate carrier, so that way you close that buckle. But then what happens is that gets into the way of the closure, and if you have a placard or a pouch up front, you then can't reach the buckle very easily. So I ended up going with the aftermarket cummerbund that I originally had on my Spiritus Systems plate carrier, and this is a HRT tactical cummerbund, and inside I have Velocity Systems. I think it's in a 5x14 soft armor panel there. It's 3A rated. So what's nice about that is that the soft armor goes up and past the buckle. So that way I don't have a ballistic gap or lack of coverage in the front part of my armor there. So that cummerbund originally came with the ROC ROC buckles. I didn't necessarily like those. They were fine. I tolerated it. And eventually I just went and replaced them with First Spear tubes. I think these are just the easiest to deal with. You can either put them on by going up or by going down with the tubes, and they're just as strong as all the other options out there. So that's just my personal preference, really. So I had to attach those. So that's the reason why I have this cummerbund on here. I like it because I have continuous ballistic coverage from front bag to rear bag. So talking about the dominant side of my cummerbund, so on this back 4 o'clock position, I do have a magnet here that's made by Tactical Assault Gear. That's part of my retention system for my breaching shotgun, and that's why I have this mag pull sling here. I do have a video on how I set this up on my channel, so go check that out if you want to learn more about that. So going towards my 1 to 2 o'clock side of this cummerbund. So this is a knockoff of the Blue Force Gear 10-speed pouch for a 5.56 size magazine. So I have used the real ones in the past, and my general consensus about any sort of like elastic or bungee is it's going to wear out. It's going to get UV sun damaged. So they're going to degrade over time. So I figured I would just save myself some money, buy the cheaper alternative, and when it comes time to replace this, I'll just buy another knockoff, and I still won't even come close to the cost of the actual Blue Force Gear pouch. So I like this because it's flat compared to an actual pouch that has a flap of some sort, because I usually keep this empty unless I need to plus it up based upon the mission. So now this is going to be the left side of the cummerbund. So again, on the 7 o'clock of the rear part of this cummerbund, this is going to be a knockoff spud pouch that I got off of Amazon. And I have it mounted upside down for ease of access for me getting it by myself. So I have the ability of putting, again, what I need to there. So if I need to plus this up for doing like a desert search out in the desert, I can put pocket smokes, or I can put a max smoke in here. And if I need to reach it, I can just simply open the flap out, and then I can pull it out from the fuse head. So I'll load it. I'll also load the canister upside down as well, so that way it comes out easier. I can also put an additional flashbang in here if I needed to, but usually I keep that flat and out of the way. Alternatively, I could put another priming system for explosive breaching, but I already carry 2 on me, and I have additional in my vehicle, or we just have other breachers on the team that have priming systems as well. So modularity is the name of my game, so I just keep that flat otherwise. So continuing to work our way to the front of the plate carrier. So I have my antenna here that plugs in my radio, and it weaves through this cummerbund. The antenna is made by Disco 32. So that attaches to my radio up here in the front. Right before we get to the buckle, I have just a roll of duct tape. So duct tape is super handy for explosive breaching. So that way you can direct prime in the charges, or tape something down if you want to keep it kind of out of the way. I'll also use this tape for my endoscope camera, where I am attaching it to that painter's pole. I'll just grab a piece of duct tape off of my kit there, and I have it on one of these buckles, and I'm able to take it on and off when it runs out and put more on there. So tucked into here, I do have a knife. So that way, if I need a knife to defend myself, I have that as a kind of last-ditch resort. And right above here on my left shoulder is going to be a push-to-talk that does plug into my radio, so you can see where that antenna ultimately terminates into my radio here. And that's the cummerbund system getting up to this front part of my plate carrier. So this is gonna be like the meat and potatoes of the video, is talking about the front plate bag and how I have this set up for SWAT operations. So we'll work from top to bottom, and I'll go through what I have here and why I have it. So first thing you can see is the Juggernaut phone case mount, and I have my work phone in a Juggernaut case mounted up, as you see here. And what we use this for is to watch drone feeds, and we also use ITAC for tracking purposes. So this allows me to have that in a hands-free manner. I can have it pulled up and still have my hands on whatever weapon system I'm using, or if I'm prepping to do something else, I can periodically look down at my phone. I can see where people are at or what the drone is looking at. So that's what I have here up front. I only have it for this plate carrier. I don't have it for my heavy kit, because I'm more likely to be using ITAC and checking drone feed when I'm wearing this kit versus the other one. So that's why I have just one Juggernaut phone case for my kits. So behind that, I have a Jobtown Tools fire pick, and this is just a manual tool for opening doors without causing any damage by just jimmying it behind a throw of a door. Near that, you see a microphone. This is going to be made by a company called Astra Radio Communications. They're based out of California. And what that allows me to do is I can plug that microphone into this push-to-talk. And it's the same push-to-talk that my OpsCore amp headset plugs into. And the microphone then routes to a port for a tubed earpiece. So if we're doing operations that don't involve wearing a helmet, I have the ability of having communications with the same push-to-talk that I use for my helmet without needing it. So normally what the guys would do and what I used to do is we would take our old patrol mics, our old box mics, and mount it to our kits there, and we'd have to switch our radio push-to-talks all the time. We'd have to take the radio out, unscrew this push-to-talk, screw in the other box mic that we would use on patrol, and that way we have communication. So this allows me to do that seamlessly without having to unscrew this unless I'm removing the placard and putting it onto my heavy kit. So I really like this so much. I T&E'd it from them, and then I ended up buying one, $400 if you guys want it. So moving further down from the phone mount, but talking about the placard that I'm using, and this is going to be the Spiritus Mark V. So the reason why I went with this was I wasn't exactly sure what else I was going to have to put on my body armor when I first got to the team. So this allowed me to configure it later on, but I at least knew from the get-go I was going to need to fill the slots in this placard up front. So I like this placard because it is modular and I can always add or take away from it as I need to. So moving from this side, so this is going to be a tier pistol magazine pouch, and this is super versatile. You can put a variety of things in there, multi-tools, flashlights, 40mm rounds fit in here as well, additional magazine for your pistol. Again, on the left side, I have my Motorola radio that plugs into there. We put our radios on our support side, and normally our antennas are sticking out like here, but I got the Disco 32 antenna relocation kit, so I don't have to worry about the antenna sticking out. And I retain that radio with some bungee shock cord here and a little glide, so that way it stays in there, it doesn't fall out. So next to the radio, I have a rifle magazine pouch, a rifle magazine for my rifle. So SWAT operations, like, it's very unlikely that we're going to be shooting our guns, and if we are, it's still going to be a relatively low round count. So like, this isn't Iraq, we're not going to war. I'm not loading this up with a full combat load. That's just a little bit ridiculous. You see guys doing that, like, you can tell they just don't know what they're doing. So I have this reload on my kit. I have one reload on my belt, and I have one rifle magazine in the rifle while I'm doing operations. So I'm carrying 3 on me. So if for some reason I needed to plus up, say I was going to like an active shooter event, I could always use this 10-speed pouch on the Cummerbund like I showed you earlier and plus it up over there. Or alternatively, I can remove the taser and I just keep the Haley insert for that slot in there, and I can put another rifle magazine up there. But typically you're not going to need, I don't think you're going to need more than the 3 magazines. That's just my personal opinion. So moving from there, I have a taser here in this slot there, and I'm not required to carry a taser, but I at least want to have the option of having some sort of less lethal on me. Center of the placard here, I have a body camera mount. So sometimes we wear body cameras. A good majority of our SWAT operations, we do not wear body cameras. But for when we do lower level stuff, I do need to have a body camera mount on there. I do have a Zac tool for handcuffs. Next to that is another knockoff 10-speed pouch, and I keep a tourniquet up here up front. So that way I have 2 tourniquets on me. So I can tourniquet an injured person. I still have the option of having a tourniquet for myself, or if I need to apply a second tourniquet on the same person or a different person, I can do that. But typically I'm grabbing an IFAK that I have in my vehicle that's dedicated specifically for other people besides myself. So the last thing I have attached to this placard up front is going to be a tier flashbang pouch, and I have a Defense Technologies flashbang up here up front. So I like having the ability of being able to deploy a flashbang by myself. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is going to be this Dangler pouch up front. So I know a big theme you guys are probably guessing on my channel is buy knockoff when you can. And yes, like, I'm definitely down to save some money, but there are some pouches out there that I will not buy. the knockoff off because I like the pouch so much. I think it works out so great that I'm going to buy the real thing. And this is one of those cases where I'm buying the real thing. And this is going to be the Shaw Concepts, their Dangler pouch. And what I really like about it is because it's QD. So I can take it off and I can put it on another first spear tube on my heavy entry kit. And that way I always have this pouch on me. And the things I keep in this pouch is going to be my 2 priming systems for explosive breaching. And it's unit SOP. We have to have some sort of soft armor behind there. So I already had a 5x7 pieces of velocity soft armor back there. So that's why I put back behind my priming system. So that way I have some protection between the blasting cap and my body. So for size reference for this pouch, that's 2 30-foot priming systems, and they're going to be stored in the high order tactical rapid deployment rigs. So in this front pouch, I just have supplemental supplies. So I have a little AAA cell flashlight that I got many, many years ago. I have my breaching cheat sheet. I have additional primers and just additional supplies for explosive breaching. And the last thing I have on the bottom here, and this is just going to be a magnetic stud finder for finding studs for explosive breaching. All right, here's this tier epic. This is the heavy kit that we wear. So we got neck protector, the groin protector, and the deltoid protectors for our arms. So you can see significantly more soft armor coverage with that. We have soft armor panels behind the plates on this entry vest here. So like I said earlier, modularity was the name of the game. So I want to be able to use the same systems on my plate carrier as I do on this entry vest. So again, 8492 nylon works to have a Velcro adapter so I can put placards on here as well. I will say this isn't the greatest Velcro adapter because these tabs on the bottom are consistently kind of coming out. There are probably some better ones out there, but this was kind of like a one-stop shop when I was buying these buckles from them as well. So that way I could attach placards to that as well. Again, another first spear tube for this Shaw Concepts pouch. So that way I have my priming system on me for my charges, since charges sit on a pouch on my belt. And then when we talk about integrating the placard again, and it's just as simple as buckling it in here, attaching the Velcro, and now I have the same core pouches that are on the front of both pieces of body armor. So one thing I forgot to cover was how to integrate less lethal options into your kit. So if you're a 37 or 40 millimeter less lethal operator and you need to hold direct impact rounds, there is a solution for you. And this is what I've come up with currently. And this is what I've been using for the past 3.5 years. And this is going to be a knockoff of the Haley Strategic 40 millimeter hanger. So this costs $25-ish, I think, on Amazon. Might be $20 compared to the $60 that Haley is charging. So keeping in mind, right, like law enforcement, I'm like not going in the prone with this thing. So this may not be a good alternative for the military guys out there that need to have 40 millimeter rounds on them, but any law enforcement capacity where we're mostly standing, this is a good option, and just Velcro's on there. So with my kits, I'll just simply Velcro it on the front there. Done setting up my kit, I will just put the placard back on there. So sits in front like that. Typically what I'll do is if I know I'm the 40 millimeter operator, I will take my Shaw pouch and I will slide it off, because you can see it's kind of like unwieldy. So I'll slide it off and I'll bring this with me and I'll put it in the armor. So that way I still have it accessible. And then from the 40 guy up, I have this available. So I have additional direct impact munitions for the 40 that I'm carrying. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. I hope you guys learned a little bit about how I set some things up, maybe give you guys some ideas on how you could run your body armor for SWAT operations or just for training. Again, this is just like a data point. It's not the be all end all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing, and thanks for stopping by the Breaches Room.